Welcome, Jim. We're glad that you're joining us tonight.
Oh, no, not again.
Oh, no.
Pat, I can't hear you. What
Oh,
is
dear.
happening here? Do I need to log back out, man? Because I
Yeah,
can't
go
hear you.
come out and back in. Yeah.
One moment. I'm sorry.
Okay. Sorry, folks. We'll take care of that. But we had a little issue with that earlier, and Jim just went out and back in, and when he came on board. So hopefully, I won't remove him from the feed again. We'll just add him in, and hopefully everything works uh, right as it's supposed to. So, Jim, now you got us.
Yes, I can hear you now. Thank you.
Okay, excellent. Well, we're really glad. Sorry for that little snafu, folks. Such is life when you have live events. Things happen sometimes, but we are glad to have Jim here with us from Costa Rica. And Jim, I'd like to just start by getting letting our listeners get acquainted a little bit with you and give us a quick overview of your background and how on earth you made your way to where you are now in Jaco.
Okay. I'm a business owner in Jaco, Costa Rica. I own multiple businesses. I came here originally 3 years ago to acquire one business. I'm a resident of Las Vegas. I'm not a Costa Rican resident. I'm on a 90-day visa, which has been extended because of the pandemic. But I normally just jump the border to Panama, do some shopping, and come back, and that satisfies the visa. But I came and I purchased the business 3 years ago, and I went back to the United States to operate my businesses that I own there. This past trip was not this October, but last I came for only 2 weeks, and I haven't left yet. I began purchasing more businesses as opportunities arose and realized that after living in Vegas for 20 years, Las Vegas itself is downtown. What is located on the strip is actually not the city of Las Vegas. And Costa Rica, and specifically this demographic, this targeted area of Jaco, has been established because of the building of Los Sueños Marina, which is the most expensive marina in Latin America. There are more than 300 sport fishing boats there. There's yachts, everything. And Las Vegas came to fruition because of the development of the Hoover Dam. So they're kind of similar stories that, there was projects built and these towns grew. And Jaco, Costa Rica continued to grow as such and became a targeted area for expats to come and retire because the cost of living was so expensive. As I remained here without going back to the United States after my 2 week planned vacation of being here and checking on my businesses, I've acquired now 5 businesses here in Costa Rica, and have been given the opportunity that one of the businesses is one that has a tourism bureau license, which is a special license given to venues that are geared towards tours. There are only 2 businesses like that in the area that my businesses are owned. So we get to talk to the tourism bureau quite a bit and get to give our opinions, and which are sometimes welcome, and thankfully they are. Jaco is growing. It's beautiful. There's a pandemic going on, but when you walk outside, there's nature, there's butterflies, there's sloths, there's monkeys. Pandemic hasn't chased the beauty away.
Well, that's good that life hasn't been uprooted much as it has been here for those of us here in the U.S. Hey, Cheryl Perkins, I see you out there, and hello to you too. We're glad to have you here. Delighted that you could be with us again tonight. Cheryl's one of our regulars. We'd miss her if she wasn't here. So basically, Jim, you're kind of a anomaly for us because normally our guests here are part of the tourism industry, part of the travel industry. So you're somebody who actually just went to Costa Rica, fell in love, and kind of plugged in, and not too enthused about going back to Las Vegas forever. Outside of trips here and there, you really like the Costa Rican way of life, and I can't think of anybody better to tell our listeners about Costa Rica and why they would want to go be there. So, and by the way, folks, be sure to just enter your questions in. I see Kathy saying hello out here, and Cheryl, it does sound awesome, and you love the animals. Yes, indeed. We're going to talk a little bit about that too. But Jim, what if you had to boil it down to just two or three things that kind of stole your heart and made you want to be there, spend a lot of your time there? What are those things?
Well, Costa Rica in itself is very simple. Living in Las Vegas, life is very fast paced. When I went to visit Hawaii, I was very frustrated because everything was so slow there. Well, Costa Rica is a little slower. They appreciate little things in life because it's a third world country. Not everyone owns a car. Most people, except if you're an expat or American, don't even have air conditioning. A lot of the restaurants and bars buy ice every day. They don't have ice machines. So they value the simple things in life that we take for granted. And it's kind of refreshing to see. It takes a little getting used to because it's so slow, but it's very fulfilling to be able to just look at people and they're like, the surf's beautiful today, and they're content and happy. Back home in Las Vegas, it's, oh, stocks went down or this happened. And it's a different lifestyle here. So that is one of the most valued assets that I have found here, and the other expats that retired here have chosen that way of life too. It's very calm. It's very soothing, not a lot of stress. Of course, there's a little stress with the pandemic for everyone. It has affected Costa Rica.
Yeah, and we'll touch on that a little bit down the line. I do want to ask how that's affecting you a little bit down the line. But can you tell us, Jim? You've explained a little bit about the lifestyle. Now, people who might want to visit, they're not sure, they don't know a lot about Costa Rica. Can you kind of help them get some idea of why they might want to move Costa Rica up a notch or two, or maybe put it at the top of their list?
I'd be happy to. So when you Google Costa Rica, as I have, you see many different things. You see things about crime. Well, there's more crime in Las Vegas than there is Costa Rica. I've been here on and off for 3 years. No one's ever tried to rob me. No one's done anything to me. It's just like anywhere. You go to the wrong place, you're going to find the wrong problem. Jaco is beautiful, and there are tourism areas that Manuel Antonio, Guanacaste, Jaco, they're geared specifically towards tourists. That's the only function they have. They don't manufacture anything. They don't produce anything. You can wake up here at 6 in the morning or earlier. The birds are chirping and macaws are in your backyard or outside your hotel window. The food here is amazing because there's no preservatives. Everything is fresh. So the cost of eating clean in the United States is astronomical. Here, you don't have a choice. If you want to buy something with preservatives in it, it's called Automercado. It's near the marina. And a thing of peanut butter from the United States that has preservatives in it, it's going to cost you about $14. If you buy the one without preservatives in it, it's going to be about 1,200 colones, which is $2.
Wow.
Yeah, so you can eat so healthy here. Dental work, people come here just for dental work. It's a third of the cost for cosmetic surgery for dental.
I do hear a good bit of medical tourism and dental tourism. People do go to Costa Rica specifically to have procedures done. Mm-hmm. So that's been around 3 or 4 years now that I've been hearing about that a lot.
Yeah, and it's rapidly growing, and a lot of the dentists here are actually trained in the United States. They go school, and they come back here. The marina's location here offers world-class fishing for sports fishing. Me, never went, not going to catch a fish. If I need some fish, you can go to any restaurant here, and it's just as fresh because they caught it that morning. But somebody may like sport fishing, and they can go do it. There's everything from a chocolate tour to surf lessons. There's yoga retreats, ATV tours. There's all kinds of cuisines and restaurants. A lot of expats and Canadians and Italian people own restaurants in these tourist communities. So the cuisine is phenomenal. It's just like in Vegas. You can find any cuisine you want if you're looking for it here. And the prices are extremely reasonable. because the value of the dollar is strong here. There's nothing here that you cannot do.
Okay.
If you want to
So
go
if you got-
riding,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
people who like the soft adventure, your surfers, your divers, zip lining,
Well,
uh,
yeah, there's also photo tours.
photography. Yes, it's big.
Uh, the nature here, I mean, literally in my backyard, there are 2 nests. There are 4 macaws. I guess they partner for life. And
Wow.
at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, they wake me up.
I'm going to just put up a few images here.
A sloth.
A sloth, yeah, I love them.
Yeah.
They're just so intriguing. So I thought when I visited Costa Rica, I came into Limon on a cruise ship, and we toured the pineapple plantations and the banana plantations, and then we did the Guaerra Canal and saw all the wildlife. It was phenomenal. It was just so cool. And here's one of the toucans I found. I mean, what would I do if I saw one of those in my backyard here in Florida? Just
In
knock
Florida, be surprised. In Costa Rica, it'd just be another day.
right. They're everywhere, I'm sure. And this little fella here.
Yeah. Well, I live, Jaco is outside of a town called Turquoise, which is famous for the crocodiles. And there's crocodile tours. There's a guy that puts his head in the crocodiles, which is kind of crazy. There's a bridge that you cross over that they stop and all the tourists get off and look at the crocodiles. Me, I leave the crocodiles alone.
Yeah, I would like to see them and say, okay, I've done that. I remember when I went to Cozumel and saw the saltwater crocodiles there. It was kind of a cool thing, but I want to stay a good distance away from them.
Yeah, they're pretty fast.
They are. They can move faster than what you think, and boy, you don't want to get in the way of the tail because they can really knock your pins right out from under you. Here, you were talking about the food too. Here is
Beautiful.
yeah.
The food here is amazing. Just the other night, I went to a place called Amansio's, and it's an Italian place in Jaco, and it's a guy from Italy, and they have a wood fire oven where they make everything, and it's just phenomenal. There's no food with preservatives here.
That is so
if you were
cool.
here for a period of time, you are going to lean out because the sugars and all the other additives aren't in the food.
And I guess probably also when you actually live there, you probably do more walking around town and things than what you might do.
Yeah, there's a lot more. I mean, most Costa Ricans ride bicycles or walk. They don't have cars. They take taxis. And it's, people go hiking every day. It's just part of their day.
You know, it's such a beautiful country. Now, Costa Rica is not a big country.
No,
but
Costa Rica is very small. Less than 6 million people.
It has, so folks, if you think about that, 6 million people, that's smaller than the metro area of just Atlanta. So that's the whole country of Costa Rica. The population is really quite small, and a lot of the people are in rural areas, and tourism is a big part of their, they rely on it. It's part of what people do to generate their revenue for the year. So I know that this pandemic is hitting them hard on that front, and so there's a lot of just a lot of diversity. What are some of the areas there that people might want to have on their bucket list if they came to Costa Rica? I know one of the things, a typical package for a lot of my people that I book there, we'll have them spend 3 or 4 days in the Arenal area and the rainforest, and then move to the coast and kick back and just relax at one of the beautiful all-inclusives there. But tell me a little bit more about that, Jim.
Yeah. The volcanoes are great to see in the correct season. I sadly just went in the last 2 months out of season, and all we saw was a big fog thing by the time we hiked through the rainforest for an hour. But they are amazing. There are natural hot springs surrounding the volcanoes. Everything is only an hour and a half from everywhere. To drive across this entire country at the highest speed limit you're allowed to go, which is 80 kilometers, most places it's 60, so about 45 to 50 miles an hour, it would take less than 6 hours to go through the entire country from one side to the other. So Manuel Antonio is an amazing place to visit, amazing beaches, restaurants. Jaco is a little different than the other communities. Jaco has a very, has the marina, which the other places don't have, but it also has a different type of nightlife, a very aggressive night lifestyle. But it also has what Manuel Antonio has, Guanacaste, are beautiful daytime activities. Everything from ATVing, guided tours, walking tours. I personally went on a monkey tour with about 6 kids and my business partner. And we were on a boat for about 2 hours. And the monkeys actually just climb down on your head and say hello. But the tour included, the traveling on the boat. So we got to see all kinds of nature. And it's so peaceful. Papayas, or peepas they call them, I'm sorry, that are coconuts. They just grow everywhere. They walk over, they chop them off, they knock them open and start drinking out of them.
Wow.
It's amazing. The lifestyle that you would have when you visit here is going to be very relaxed and very calming. If you want to party and have a great time, you can do that at night too. I mean, that's here. It's just like Vegas. There's a daytime and a nighttime. But be sure to take part of the fish eating. It's phenomenal. It's extremely fresh. It's caught that day. It's just so peaceful here too. And again, the dollar is very strong. If you plan prior to coming, you can stretch that dollar a lot further.
Very good, very good. Well, there's a lot of things. I'm just looking here at some of the images. Festivals. I think this was of Limon Festival.
Yeah, the communities here are where it used to be all separate, and before the Costa Rican government itself was formed and united all the separate areas. So each area has its own little culture. They have parades all the time and festivals of all kinds of color and drums and everything. So in the tourist season, you would probably every 2 weeks see a parade or a festival going on. And it's fun to watch. It's beautiful.
Cool. And Cheryl, yes, I agree with you. The monkey tours would be a lot of fun. I'm kind of like Jim on that. I would enjoy that. And here's something that's very famous. Now, this is in the rainforest area, the Oronal. I'm having trouble saying that all of a sudden. Area, but they've got these famous bridges, and there's, I guess, a lot of them. Lots of hiking in that area where you can see the rainforest.
Yeah, the Costa Rica is not a flat land for the most part, so there's a lot of really deep gorges. So these rope bridges are significant to be able to get from one part of the area to the other when you're hiking, and they're everywhere. It's beautiful. It's everything's untouched. I mean, there's not a lot of development going on except in the cities themselves. So when you leave the city area and go to a rural area, that's what you're going to find.
And here's something that we saw when we went. This image doesn't quite fit, but the pineapple plantations and the banana plantations in that area around Limon, they were amazing. They were everywhere. I mean, this is a huge operation. Costa Rica must supply a lot of the international supply of bananas and pineapple.
Chiquita banana came from Costa Rica. The pineapples from Costa Rica, oddly, are the pineapples that you're consuming when you're in Hawaii. Hawaii exports all the pineapples from Hawaii.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Costa Rica doesn't manufacture many things. I have 3 trees that produce bananas in my backyard.
Wow.
So probably every week or every 2 weeks, I can cut down a large thing that has 20, 30 bananas on it. And everyone has a machete, which was news to me. I went to the store to buy one. I'm like, I need a machete. I felt like, do I need to show you my driver's license or something? It's in a hardware store. No, right there. And you just chop them down. And
cool.
There's no chemicals sprayed on them. They're delicious.
Wow. Just interesting. So in Costa Rica, you can hike, you can do all kinds of things. You can hang at the beach. I thought this was a beautiful beach scene. doesn't it just make you want to just sit there and listen to that surf?
Yeah. Well, and there's Costa Rica is one of the places where there's world-class surfing.
Oh,
I'm not a
really?
surfer guy.
Like that.
There you go. There are
Yeah.
surf tournaments year-round occurring here, and it's
And
a
that's
very
over on the West Coast,
Mhm.
around the Guanacaste area.
Guanacaste, Hermosa is one of the most popular places. You can't swim there because the undertow's so strong, but it's very popular for surfers, and that's where you'll see a lot of the professional surfers at preparing, and training, and you'll see all the photographers on the beach taking photos of them as they get ready to compete in competitions around the world.
I mean, it's one of the most beautiful places I have been. Now, this is the area over where we visited when we were there, the Guaerra Canal, and we just went very slowly. There was a boat. There probably were a dozen of us on this boat. We all had a great seat. We could all see really well, but we saw so much wildlife, and the guides were so good. They really gave us so much information and spotted things that we would have never seen on our own.
And they have no fear of the animals. They're used to them. They go, hey, come here, monkey. I'm like,
and here's the volcano that we were talking about. This is, just breathtaking. And now those are not active anymore, but they do put off a little small. They're not active in that you don't have the big.
There's no large eruptions, but they are active. They're not inactive volcanoes. So that's how the hot springs are created, because the lava is flowing below the water table and creates hot springs. When you go and hike into the volcanoes in Arenado now, there's a spot where you can only proceed and they make you stop because it's old lava that formed the rocks, and they don't want you disturbing those rocks. But it gives you an amazing view of the volcano in season.
Understandable. Jim, I've got a question here from one of our listeners. Cheryl says, beautiful bridge and beautiful beach. She's liking what she's saying here. I bet Cheryl's going to have this on her bucket list here by the time we're done. My sister Kathy's listening, and she wants to know, did you purchase a home there, or do you lease, or do you stay in hotels? What do you do as far as your living situation is?
Well, one of the businesses I purchased had a penthouse apartment. I lived there for a short time, and now I have a home.
Okay.
I live in a 3-bedroom home that also has a caretaker's apartment on the property. I have a swimming pool and banana trees and papaya.
Hard life.
Yeah, well, in rainy season, you have to cut the grass twice a week. It grows really fast. I've recently transplanted my garden in the bigger area, and they grow fast.
So the tropics will do that to you. One of the things that we haven't touched on yet, Jim, that I like about booking people to Costa Rica, it's really easy to get to from most places in the U.S. There are lots of flights. They're fairly reasonable as flight fares and so forth go. But it's an easy country for people in the U.S. to travel to.
Yeah, your U.S. passport automatically gives you a 90-day visa. When you're going through the airport process, they just ask where you're staying, and you tell them, and they type it in the computer. Spirit has just added Costa Rica to their destination list. Florida.
I didn't know that. Thank you for sharing that. I didn't know.
Florida, Houston, New York, and somewhere else have direct flights right to Costa Rica. Otherwise, you've got to juggle a little bit. Some flights go to Panama. If you take Copa Airlines, that's their hub, so you go to Panama first and then here. But from Florida, it's less than 2 hours.
Yeah, it's a really easy flight. One of the other things I like about Costa Rica as a destination for our clients, there are a lot of different ways to see Costa Rica depending on people, how they approach things. You can, independent trips for sure, come in and build the itinerary and what you want to do, customized to whatever the interests are of that particular travel. But you can also get there by cruise ship. not all, but most of the Panama Canal sailings will have a stop in Costa Rica. And for us, that was a really, besides the canal itself, that was a real high point of the trip. We loved that stop there. You have escorted tours. I know that they run everywhere from Caravan and Gate 1 for the budget travelers up to Abercrombie and Kent for people who want to do the 5-star approach. So there's all kinds of different ways and travel styles that do Panama. So whatever, whether they're somebody looking for adventure or romance, or whether they're wanting a family trip, it really is a suitable destination for pretty much any traveler who just wants to see wildlife, who interested in photography. So many different ways of looking at Costa Rica. It's a very, very broad destination.
Well, recently, we've been seeing a spike in wedding destinations, which is not something any of my businesses cater to, but it's occurring a lot. Running through a lot of tourists that are specifically here to have their wedding ceremony.
Now, the destination weddings are that's a growing segment in the wedding industry, is the destination weddings. So that is big, and I know the all-inclusives over on the coast are certainly marketing to that market as well. So what about the best time to visit? I know you mentioned the seasonality. And I know there's a little bit of variation too from one coast to the other on that.
Yes, rainy season, we are in the tropics. So when it rains here during rainy season, they are tropical storms. It is downpours of rain that if you were in the United States, you'd pull your car over and wait for the rain to stop. It creates road hazards and things of that nature, but as soon as it stops, it's fine. It's beautiful.
It's pretty much as far as I know, it's pretty much that kind of, it's not raining all day for days on end. Rainy season, you have
it comes, hits hard, and it leaves. And what's beautiful is once the rain dissipates, I love going out to my back patio after the rain, because then all the butterflies come out, and there are a lot of different colored butterflies in Costa Rica. I can see dozens of them after the rain in my backyard. The little green lizards come running out, and the iguanas. It's just like nature reopens itself, and it's just very epic to see when you come from a fast-paced life like I did in Las Vegas to come here, and I'm just learning to appreciate
sitting and watching.
Supposed to.
Right. Just really, really cool. Now, and we touched on this earlier, but just slightly. I don't think we had the audience join us yet. What about safety in Costa Rica, Jim?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I've been here on and off for 3 years. I've never had a problem. I've had tourists that have come to my venues that said they had a problem earlier that day somewhere, but they've gone off the beaten path. If you go on the beach in the middle of the night, there's no police there, you're probably going to have a problem. Las Vegas, if you go down the wrong street in the middle of the night off the beaten path, you're going to have a problem. Chicago, you go down the wrong.
Whoa,
I wouldn't walk around with an expensive Rolex or anything of that nature on, because you're just inviting problems when you travel with those things. Most hotels have safes in your rooms. You just leave your items in there. Guided tours and the main tourist areas are perfectly monitored. Here in Jaco, Costa Rica, there's a large police presence of the municipality police, but then there's Fuego, which are like federal police. Then there's a separate set of police for vehicles called transit police. And then there's cameras everywhere that they have. But for the most part, you might see the police talking to the tourists because they're a little intoxicated and want to argue with somebody. And they normally just try to talk them down and drive them back to their hotel room. This community and this country is based on tourism, as it doesn't manufacture many things. So it really tries to cater to the tourists. And it's understanding that sometimes tourists might indulge a little bit too much and need to be driven back to their hotel room. As far as traveling alone, it's safe to do here. I just wouldn't go off the beaten path, again, even in Las Vegas, where I've lived for 20 years.
Exactly. I tell this to my clients all the time that are worried about safety. Most of the Caribbean, if you just exercise reasonable common sense. Don't flash wads of money and long strings of credit cards, your Rolex watch, leave your flashy jewelry off, and you're going to be fine. Just exercise the kind of common sense that you utilize back here that you would, if you don't do it at home, you wouldn't do it there. I have a question here, Jim. Amber wants to know, what is the best time of year to hike the volcano? What would you recommend?
I would say February or March, because it's clear after rainy season, so there'll be visibility. And during rainy season, large portions of that park are closed, so you really can't get to the scenic areas of the volcano because it's so much fog.
Okay, real good. Well, Jim, I see we're over. I can't ever seem to stay within my target of 30 minutes because it gets too interesting. But this is, I just really appreciate you having you on, and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And after all you've shared, I know that you have given our audience something to think about. I know that they are moving Costa Rica up on their bucket list. I know I can't wait to go back for another visit, and hopefully we'll have that opportunity down the line. So, folks, put it on your bucket list. You won't want to miss Costa Rica. And what else you won't want to miss is next week's Facebook Live when we welcome Ashley Vaughn from Holland America Cruise Line. And if you're a HAL fan or if you're just cruise curious, you will want to be part of that. And I'm going to close here, Jim. I would just want to put up this image. I think it's a real suitable image for us to close out in. One of those beautiful Costa Rican sunsets. It just doesn't get any more beautiful than that, folks. So thanks again, Jim. I really appreciate it. And thanks everybody for joining us. We hope that you'll join us again sometime soon, and stay in touch and get out your travel planner. Talk soon. Bye now.